trickle in. I'll just do a quick introduction and then we can start. Start off the cuff. So welcome to an off the cuff with Divi Labs via the Divi Wallet account. As this is obviously our main product. I'm Ranuk, your host, and we've got Nick, the CEO of Divi Labs, today with us. We're going to be having an off the cuff, just talking about lots of different things, but mainly we're going to be talking about Divi Swap, which is our latest product, and there's been a few questions about that as well. And we've also got some exciting updates, which Nick will share with us later. If you don't know much about Divi Wallet or Divi Labs, head over to diviwallet.com and you can find out more about that there. But yeah, otherwise, as usual, just show us your reactions while we get on, so we know if you got any questions, what do you think about it, and if there are any questions, do tweet us here, and we will try to answer those as we go on as well. And Nick, I'll put the recording on. Yeah, it's on, so that's good. So for those who are joining us later, it will be recorded, so don't worry if you're from Australia or Asia, you can listen to this later on. So we are all covered. Nick, I've got to say, your artwork game recently has been top notch. Love your ones you've been sharing. It's pretty cool.
Thanks. Yeah, there's lots of amazing art in Web3.
Yeah.
And so many tools now as well to play around and create different things. So, I mean, the art community, on-chain art community is really, really, like, just welcoming and fun, and there's always something interesting to discuss, and everybody's, it's like the most real community I've been a part of as far as Web3 is concerned. It's less esoteric than like DeFi and some of the other things that I'm in, but everyone's cool.
That's awesome. Yeah, I was chatting to Chaos Cube as well the other day, which you saw, the things that he made as well, which is pretty cool. And for those who haven't obviously, looked into Chaos Cube as well, they're one of our partners, and you can easily use that through Divi. So yeah, definitely check it out. You've been talking to him quite a bit.
Yeah, Chaos is a buddy of mine, an IRL buddy of mine. I've known him for about going on 10 years, something like that. And yeah, he's a great guy, really talented developer as well. And the Chaos Cubes are really cool. I'm supposed to get my physical canvas within the next week or two from Japan, so I'm pretty stoked on that.
That's very cool.
They're like mini canvases. Yeah, it's pretty cool. So I'm stoked on some IRL utility.
Nice. See, Voice is here as well. If he wants to chat, I'll add him in.
Cool.
Sure. I'm sure he's got some thoughts on that too. I think we've got a few people on, so I think we can get started. So shall we start with Divi Swap, and then we can also talk about other things and take any questions as we go on.
Yeah, I think the main thing I want to chat about today is Divi Swap. Obviously, we launched it a couple of months ago now, sort of out of the blue for most people. It came completely out of nowhere, out of left field. So that's pretty much how I'm going to continue to operate. I can't stand crypto anymore. Like I hate it. Like the hype generated narratives that just let people down. It's just not worth doing. We have a community that exists. I think, you need a lot of hype if you're like launching something brand new. I think it's possible to grow beyond your community without like vapid hype. That's not to say that I'm not hyped about stuff and we won't hype things up when they launch.
And also for the right reasons, right? Because a lot of it has been like just smoke without any fire. There's no substance behind a lot of what other people have been doing.
Exactly. And you see it all the time. I mean, it doesn't matter how big the project is. You see it a lot in the NFT space, and you have these enormous projects that have these long running projects within the community. Probably the thing that sticks out most in my mind is, the recent Azuki Elementals launch. I know it was, years ago in terms of crypto time, but it really wasn't that long ago. And everybody had huge expectations for this secondary drop. It was very expensive for holders to even get one. And, they basically just copied their old art. There's some new stuff within the collection if you get into the rares, but it was pretty disappointing for a lot of people. And it's the same with, DGODs had the same thing happen. And even outside of NFTs, it's like the more hyped it is, the more likely you are to disappoint people, because there's just no way to live up to the hype. No company in crypto is Apple. It's just not, the Vision Pro required $20 billion of research and development over many years. 20 billion.
Yeah.
There's not a single company in crypto with that kind of capitalization, especially for R&D. So that is what hype-driven narratives can produce. If you have that kind of resources, of course, you're going to have an awesome product. But
absolutely.
Yeah. It just doesn't happen in crypto. Not yet. It will. When crypto is, as an asset class is bigger than a single stock. But, it's...
I think, especially in the last year, it's been cleansed a little bit, and people are more aware of, all the issues we're having, rug pulls and everything else. So it could only, get better from here, hopefully.
It's definitely true. If you look at, especially Web3 gaming right now, people are really looking at games that exist, that you can play, that there's at least a demo out. The funding isn't going toward vaporware as much, which is great. It means the industry's matured to the point of, I know games can be built. I know that the infrastructure exists to build these things. I'm not going to invest in something that doesn't exist yet, because it is possible to build one. And you can do it with limited resources as well. So I think the industry as a whole is maturing in a major way, which is great to watch. Yeah. But there's still a lot of trash. A lot. But that's just the nature of a decentralized ecosystem.
Yeah. And the other problem, I think, is everyone's an expert as well. This is just, the conversations we have, you can see and it's very hard to reason with those people as well. But I think, and that's where, we are different in how we've actually shown that, real products that's actually very easy to use, kind of staying with our mantra from day one. And I think DiviSwap is a testament to it.
Yeah, I agree. And thanks for the segue. It's been great to watch the community feedback and user feedback, both on the live product, which is, of course, the ETH and ERC20 off-ramp, but also behind the scenes on the on-ramp, the Zell on-ramp. The Zell on-ramp works very well. I think there's still some UX improvements that could be made, but in many ways, it's a case study and a proof of concept for instant on-ramp payments into crypto, which is really pretty unheard of. There's lots of ways to get crypto out of the market quickly, depending on which services you're using, but I still haven't seen anything as instant as DiviSwap for off-ramp.
And paying a lot of commission as well along the way.
That's the other big thing. We'll talk about fees in a minute. But the Zell on-ramp, it works very well. It works perfectly. And the blocker was liquidity. So obviously you can't materialize money out of thin air. So we have to have liquidity on both sides of the bridge, so to speak. Whether that be off-ramp liquidity, there needs to be money in an account to send to a person, and then on-ramp liquidity obviously has to be USDT or crypto in an account to send to people. So we've closed the funding from 2 individual private parties on this particular blocker. So the money is there. We're going to be actually getting it into accounts over the next couple of days, and then we're looking at bringing the on-ramp online next week, barring any major issues. So yeah, we're excited about that. Obviously, we'll lock everybody who's used DiviSwap in on the low fee, but we are going to start to monetize the platform over the next month or so. So we'll be adding a fee that's still the most competitive in crypto. It'll be, we're looking at 1.5% for on-ramp, off-ramp. That may change. This is not like a forever thing necessarily, but that seems to be the best way that we can monetize the platform, like in a sustainable way, keep building new things for it and do a BD. The interesting thing is the way that it's built, we're able to granularize the fee structure. So in the future, we may enable even lower fees for people who have higher volumes and things like that. That's kind of like the plan. But for now, it's just going to be one flat fee across the board. And so we're excited about, actually making some money off of it.
Absolutely. Yeah. And the thing is, like, we're not, like, compared to a lot of the others, like it's hugely cheaper anyway.
Yeah, I just used Stripe's link yesterday, which is their crypto on-ramp. And regardless of if you were doing $10 or $3,500, which is their max, it was 4%. 4%.
No, that's quite high.
It's insane. I mean, if you're doing $3,700 or whatever it was, $3,750, I think was their peak, you're losing $150, a little bit more than $150 off of that on-ramp transaction, which is absurd. Like, it's $3,700 is not. I mean, that's an Apple Vision Pro with tax.
Yeah, totally.
Like it's not an enormous amount, and we want to integrate with businesses who want to do much larger transactions. So we can't be. No one's paying 4%. Even OTC desks aren't charging 4% for major volume. So I think there's a huge fee issue across the board in so like obviously the gas fees is one thing, but that's not necessarily something we can control. We'll talk about that in a second as well.
I think especially given the lack of utility out there, when you have to exit eventually, because you got to leave, you've got your other expenses and stuff. It's a huge barrier, like, because you lose so much.
Exactly, and in my opinion, it's so antithetical to what crypto is meant to be. I mean, this was supposed to be, the disruptor of the banking system, which in many ways is just a rent-seeking fee market in itself. Like, for example, if anyone's ever purchased a house.
I was literally about to mention.
Yeah, I mean, it's unbelievable the amount of fees and the amount of delay in getting your funds across the various networks that they need to cross. I mean,
it's ridiculous. It's literally going months. Like, I went through all that pain, and it's and the thing is, like, there's so many fees, and when you actually do the numbers, you're like, why am I paying like literally double over the course of the 25, 30 years? It's insane. And what they do is you're literally paying them to make even more money.
100%. I mean, escrow companies are another middleman. Each banking institution is a middleman. Each of these institutions takes, between 3 and 30 days to release your money, in which period they're making micro investments, loans, etc., that you see no benefit from. Like, they charge you a fee to benefit from your money, and that's what crypto was trying to resolve. But in many ways, it just created a different version of that, which I think is complete, absolute bullshit. Like, it's it's like you had the opportunity, but instead you just like let the oppressed become the oppressor, which is like the case in so many facets of life. Yeah. But I think that will have to change. So, like, from a fee perspective, we're gonna keep it competitive. My goal, and I've said this from the beginning, my goal is to focus the strategy on the B2B element. Get more businesses involved, and this goes back to the granularity of the fee structure. Because we can granularize the fee structure down to the user level, we can also granularize it for businesses and users within that business. So, for example, if we have a high-risk business case, whether that be gaming or even crypto, you might have a higher fee structure for that particular business ecosystem because the tolerance for fees is higher. Meanwhile, we can drive fees for the consumer product much lower. So you're leveraging the income from the bigger volumes to offer a better service for the smaller volumes. So that's another way that we're looking at how we can like disable the rent-seeking behavior of these on and off ramps. But of course, all these things are in discussions. They're in progress. Right now, we're just going to launch with the 1.5% fee for DiviSwap, and then we'll look at everything else individually as we move forward.
And how does the fees work at the moment, just for people who haven't obviously had a chance to look at the website and stuff? How
So right now, the off ramp, I think for certain users who've been in beta, the off ramp limitation is like 25 or 30 grand a day, dollars, and then the on ramp is completely based on your Zelle limits within your bank. It's usually between like $1,500 and $3,500. Some people it goes all the way up to like $9,900. I've seen, but that's a pretty rare case. And then there's like a daily and weekly limit. So there's like a per transaction, a daily, and a weekly limit for Zelle. Because of the way that the funding mechanism has been set up with our funding partners, we are looking at integrating ACH and debit. Because the reason that ACH and debit are difficult to offer people, A, is because of the timeline between actual settlement, but mostly, and this is something that we experienced with Prime Trust, because of chargeback risk, fraud. So, that you have to mitigate that by essentially having a pool of funds that covers the fraud, because Visa doesn't give a crap. If you are experiencing fraud, you should have your own fraud protocol set up and deal with it, right? So we will offer it to a select group of users, but it won't be right away like widely available. We'll probably have some sort of application process and like make it very, very low limit initially. But ACH debit. But everyone will have Zelle. Everyone.
Yeah, I think that kind of goes in nicely to my next question around what's our roadmap like, where do we take it from here? And one of the biggest things we've had in the community is saying, like, obviously it's US centric at the moment, obviously given the background of the company we're working with, the regulations, but what do we see beyond that?
Yeah, so obviously Europe and the UK are primary, like secondary targets, primary, secondary. But there are like regulatory hurdles and stuff like that. I had a call with a pretty major like compliance company that's out of the US just this past week. And they're well established in the US. They already have like bid licensure and stuff like that. So we may end up leveraging them. It's the same organization that like MoonPay use and all the big on ramps. But they are almost ready to start offering Europe and UK. So as soon as that, we'll probably just end up leveraging their licensure through their services to offer UK Europe. But I don't have a timeline on it. I don't know exactly when they're going to be ready for that.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, no, it makes sense. And the thing is, like, especially with the regulations and stuff, and the fact that you're trying to navigate a block of countries rather than one, never makes it easier.
Yeah.
Having moved across all three countries, US, UK, and now Spain, I know the pain of that. So
yeah, it's never easy. But at any rate, it's not been ignored. It's definitely something that we're continuously, looking to resolve and offer to people. I think there's still some work to be done here in the US with Divi Swap. We're just getting now the full feature set out, right? Like I said, next week, everybody will have on and off ramp. And then it's really about developing the business.
Absolutely. It's only been a couple of months anyway since we've gone live.
Exactly. I mean, I know crypto is one of these places where days feel like months, months feel like years, but it really hasn't been that long. The other big next step is going to be the additional chains. So we have now, at least behind the scenes, we have Arbitrum, Optimism, Polygon, and Base all integrated. How and when we roll those out is kind of based on demand. We're also looking at BNB chain, which has been requested by a variety of customers. And then, so the EVM is like very simple to use and integrate, I should say. So that'll be, those will be easy to roll out quickly. And again, it's more so based on demand and trying to lower fees than anything else.
Yeah.
But they're there. We looked, and we have been looking at Solana. It's different. It's a little bit more difficult, and it's been done, but it hasn't really been tested. So it works, but it's not like ready to go out. But yeah, Solana's probably the next like major L1 that we'll look to integrate publicly. So yeah,
that's awesome. And eventually we want to also get it onto our Divi mobile wallet as well.
That's the next big thing. Again, perfect segue. You're a great host. So we met with the devs and everybody yesterday. We have another meeting. Is it today? We have another meeting coming up with the devs. Sorry, it's tonight. So yeah, we have developed essentially probably the easiest way to integrate DiviSwap by just plugging an iframe into your dApp. So it connects to your existing like EVM framework within whatever dApp you're integrating with. It's just a two-step process for a developer. Like the flow is really simple from behind the scenes. So it's not quite just copy and paste it in. It takes a little bit of a hookup, but it's basically you copy and paste it in and make some changes from a design perspective. And so that'll be, we're meeting with the devs tonight to see exactly the timeline on putting it into Divi wallet. I'd like to put it into Divi desktop as well. But there's some considerations to be made around EVM compatibility in desktop. But so and that really was like the primary goal in the beginning, right? Was to put DiviSwap into the wallet, because right now we have Simplex.
Absolutely.
And Simplex goes back to what we talked about in the beginning, which is just like high fees and limited use. Yeah.
And actually, talking about Simplex, which I will mention at the end, we do have an offer on at the moment, but I'll cover it off at the end.
Cool.
So we've only got about 5 minutes left. Shall we see? We've got Papa Joe here as well. Maybe we can start with him and see if we've got any more questions. Yeah?
Hey guys, what's going on?
How you doing? Welcome. How are you?
I'm doing well. It's good to talk to you guys again. It's been a little bit.
Indeed.
Real quick question. As far as the off-ramp pieces are concerned, on-ramp, off-ramp, I jumped in obviously late. Is there a roadmap specifically for different types of banks? I know the big banks are going to be on the list and whatnot, but like smaller credit unions, things like that, I'm kind of curious more about, as I did test a little bit and with a credit union that I use, and it's not there yet for those pieces. And I understand it's still in beta and all that fun stuff too, but just curious on a roadmap for those smaller entities.
So yeah, you can check if your bank is integrated with there's a checker on the website. Just type your bank name in, it'll tell you if it's part of the RTP network.
Okay.
I mean, unfortunately, there's no way we can control the RTP network. It's a clearinghouse system. So whether or not your credit union is on there, it's really up to the credit union and clearinghouse. That said, it still works. Like you could still off ramp to your credit union. It's just not instant. It'll take a day or two.
I don't really necessarily care. So I would love the instantaneous, but it was more of a as long as it went through period kind of thing. So I'll play around with it more. It didn't even have the option when I initially did it to even add it there for my particular credit union. But the debit card feature was enabled or available, and that still didn't go through in a test run. So it's probably my institution more than anything. So I will check with them.
Yeah,
that was just a curiosity on that one.
Yeah. I mean, there's probably like several million variables when it comes to these various banks.
Oh, I know.
But if you have issues, there's 24/7 support available, just like all of our products. So just open a ticket and somebody will look into it.
Yep. Well, you guys are great about that. You are, like, again, as I always say when I get a chance to say it, this is the best platform I have seen being built out there, and you guys have gone above and beyond. Your support's above and beyond. I mean, seriously, I don't even think most of these other platforms even have support for what it's worth. So this is amazing. I really do love it.
Thank you. We appreciate it. I mean, Voice is here. Unfortunately, he had to step away. Otherwise, he could have talked right now. But yeah, we're always here. So if you guys have any questions, we are always
absolutely
happy to help.
Appreciate it.
Thank you. Thanks for your question. Yeah, keep them coming. I think we've pretty much got to the end of it. Unless there are any questions, Nick, I think maybe we can finish off with some closing remarks from you, and then I'll mention the Simplex offer before we finish off.
Yeah, I mean, obviously there's always more to think about and talk about, but I think we got across the primary things. If you came in late, pop into the beginning and re-listen to it, but I'll just reiterate, next week we're looking at launching the on-ramp for everybody. We're just getting the final funding through, looking at additional chains, we're looking at integrating with many businesses. We have 2 or 3 will come online this month. With lots more in discussion. So I'm really excited about the Divi Swap offering. There's way more coming for it, especially as it pertains to like the Divi coin and things like that. But one step at a time.
Absolutely. No, that's very exciting. I'm very excited too. So if you haven't checked it out yet, go to DiviSwap.com. If you can't find it, just go back to the previous tweet. You'll see it on there as well. Nick, yeah, it's been great. Thank you so much for taking us through it. And if any of you have any other questions, do just talk to us here or on Discord. And like I mentioned, one more thing. So we've been talking about obviously on and off ramping. So we've got an on-ramp offer with Simplex, our partner at the moment. So it's only until tomorrow. So, if you want to use it, get involved now. We waive the minimum fee. So there's no minimum fee at the moment. And also the service fee has gone down from 3.5% to 2.5%. So do check it out. There's more details in the tweets we've shared over the last few days as well. Otherwise, thank you so much for joining us. And we hope to see you either here or in our Divi project spaces next time. Thank you all. Have a good rest of the day and week.